Hey, it's Joe Blind, my Automator. Another episode of What We Automated with, now it's AI, AutoHotkey, and Rust. So, as Ace mentioned Rust like a month or two ago, that it was really cool and very, very fast. And I heard him and I tried, he showed me a couple examples, and I thought it was much more of a WebSocket kind of tool, like HTTP protocol, stuff like that. But after fooling around, let's see, what was I doing? I was creating, let's see here, this tool, which allows me to capture. So in Camtasia, you can capture both your webcam and your desktop in separate streams. And so my goal, I was using FFmpeg to do that, and I actually got it working. And after I got it working, and it was working great, I said, hey, could we, I realized I had some bandwidth with Claude left on my account, and it was ending in like 5 hours. I had quite a bit of bandwidth. So I said, hey, I never actually built a tool with Fable 5. I use Fable 5 for advice and stuff and planning and brainstorming, but not for developing. So I saw I had a bunch of bandwidth left. So I said, let me actually build a tool with Fable 5. So I asked Claude, hey, can I rebuild this tool, but instead of using FFmpeg, which has like a 150 meg file to it, could we use the Windows runtime environment to be able to capture stuff? And it basically said, no, but, you know, you could do that with Rust really easily. And I'm like, Rust, right? So I was really surprised. So I said, well, go for it. 30 minutes later, it completely rewrote this tool in Rust. Let me see here. I'm gonna turn this off. I'm gonna turn off my webcam from here because I don't think I can have both streaming at the same time. Now I'm gonna start. All right, so what I did was I closed OBS, and when I closed OBS, then this tool worked. So right now I'm using OBS to capture my desktop, which is what this tool does. When I hit start recording, it captures the, I can choose the monitor, but it captures the video inside it. And what's cool is I can even, I can say select area, and let's say I want to get more of just my head. So it'll grab just my head. And now I can literally see this on the screen, and I don't have to worry about if you guys can see it or not. When OBS does it, it's on the other screen, so it's much harder. So that's what this tool does. But anyway, this Rust rewrote it entirely without FFmpeg, created a compiled version of Rust, and it was like 1.5 meg instead of 150 megs or 130 megs. So crazy, and it's also sharper. Like the quality is really good. Ryan Wells and I got in a call this morning, and I was telling him how impressed I was with this. And he has a virtual camera he had created. He's like, maybe it would help with mine. So while he was on it, I did the same thing. I said, hey, Fable 5, go create me a virtual camera. Sure enough, it created a virtual camera also. And his is really, he already had the guts of a very complicated one, which can put up text and put up thumbnails and times and mute things and do a lot of stuff. Mine, I can do my virtual camera, and I can add text to the screen, to the picture, which is cool. OBS does as well, but OBS also, again, OBS is even bigger than FFmpeg. Like it's a memory hog and takes up a lot of stuff. So Rust is really working crazy well. I've built some other tools with it already as well. And I also asked AI, how can Rust build this was so small? And it turns out Rust is like AutoHotkey in that it can borrow, and if I hold down control, I can move this. It can borrow your built-in Windows DLLs, right? This is why also AutoHotkey scripts are tiny when you do this stuff. So I've been building a bunch of stuff with that, and let's go ahead. I'll launch out. Let me go back to selecting a little bit less of this. Here we go. And move this guy off the screen. And if I hold down control, I can turn on, by the way, actually, let me just do that. I'm gonna keep away from mouse. So now when I move my mouse near it, it will pop to the corner and I don't have to remember it. So it'll keep it out of the way of where I'm working without me having to do anything, which is really cool. So now let's open the what you automated this week. And we'll do a quick review of this because I need to rethink everything I'm doing. We should modify files. Yeah, we'll skip the other one that does even more. And let me change this. I don't know what happened here. Wow, dropped it way down, which is still fine. All right, so cool. We did passport. What did we talk? We talked about loops, different types of loops. No, we got sidetracked. It was interesting on the passport call with our client. The question had to do with security and how to have things secure with different passwords for different people. And I had mentioned when I was at TI and stuff, I realized with HTTP requests, you can use, if it's an enterprise login, you can use their enterprise login credentials without knowing them. You can use that to decide what they have access to. And that was a cool one. But yeah, it was very, very good call. Script Maker. We also realized Rust could do things for Script Maker. HK Script Maker probably optimize it and make it much snappier and faster. Some of the things, by the way, we're saying it could be like between 100 to 1,000 times faster than AutoHotkey at doing certain aspects, right? And it's on the levels of like Python and C Sharp and stuff. I asked about rebuilding my XP search tool, this tool, because this one is, the GUI is AutoHotkey, but it's driven with C++ in the background. And it said it actually would probably be even on speed. It might be a little clearer as far as setting, but since this is working and stuff, to just leave it. So I said, oh, okay. Okay, Mr. Genius. The AI OCR, it actually did mention stuff about OCR. Now we're using AI for the OCR, but the API calls and the WebSocket calls are phone bridge where I can connect to my phone and our phone desk, which is like a Stream Deck knockoff. Those use WebSockets, I believe, and those we probably should rewrite using Rust. So there'll be a lot of stuff we're going to adjust to just optimize it and speed it up. I was also helping build some stuff with a progressive web app for Connie, a hero member. He wanted to be able to send files from his Apple or iPhone to his computer. And Connie, if you're watching, I don't know if you tried that yet. I gave you some stuff to try, but we got busy. So I'm not sure if he actually has tried it yet. Claude skills. I watched a really good video on setting up Claude skills. We also used that doctor/doctor command in Claude now, and it made a lot of changes. It removed a lot of stuff that I wasn't using, which was probably great overall. So I would highly recommend you check that out if you're using Claude. I did make some changes to gurus, and actually, now that I think about it, I might even change my guru skill. I think it uses Python for calling the API. I might change that to Rust. I don't, well, it's fine. Maybe I won't leave it, or I won't change it. ClearCut. ClearCut is our tool for, and it's using FFmpeg, and this is another one. Anything where we're using FFmpeg, like I made another one to very fast get the length of a given video, and it goes across at least a dozen audio and video formats. And so I was using FFmpeg, which is also like 130 megs or something. So with Rust, I created a new tool that's like 1.5 meg, and it will get me that stuff really, really well. And they have CLI, so I can programmatically just give it a path, and I don't have to, call it directly. And I'm building my own tools, so it's really cool. I built some noise suppression as well with Rust. HK doc search, yeah, help extractor. I haven't worked on this. There's a lot of stuff that I just got sidetracked with other things, learning this about Rust. And also we're going to build, one of our client does SEC filings and legal stuff, and she's transcribing things, and so we're building a custom ASR, which I forget exactly what it stands for, but it's like parakeets and ASR. It's not an LLM. It's for audio signal recognition, maybe something like that. Speech recognition, that's probably what it is. And we're going to fine tune it to legal terms and SEC time, financials and legal terms, and maybe some Latin terms, because I use a lot of those too. So we're going to fine tune the model and then automate her process. Right now she has a manual process of taking files, pushing them into like AI or ChatGPT and stuff to clean them up. We're going to be using the API to streamline that process for her, so it's not quirky, right? So it's much faster and streamlined. And once we have it done, also she's paying, it sounds like roughly, I'm going to guess around 150 or 200 a month for the different tools she's using. I think after we build her stuff, we'll have it down to most of the stuff is local, and maybe she'll have some API calls, which, but it'll be, as you go, pay as you go. and probably $5 a month or something, right? That's the ideal, like, is to get it really down to only pay as you go. The other stuff will be local, fast, and super reliable. Smart file renamer. Yeah, we made some changes to that. Transcribe and summarize. This is one of those transcribe and summarize I was showing her, but also that one of the tools we were using for, I think it was Transcriber, or maybe it was the Video Sandwicher. We get the length of the video to figure out the math of how fast we process that video. And that was one that we were using this FFmpeg or FFprobe to get the length, because it can handle almost any format you throw at it. So I picked the top dozen audio and video formats, maybe a little more than that, and we'll be able to reliably get those lengths very quickly too. So AI transcribe, AI voice to do. Or this is a progressive web app I made, API syntax writer. I realized during the hero call, or sorry, the passport call, that tag, the thing about sending that credentials for the enterprise license wasn't in our API syntax writer. Thankfully, I have all my stuff from years ago, and so I knew where I had used it, so I was able to find it and go add it to our API syntax writer. It's not on the website yet, but I did add it to this one. It's really simple to pass. App viewer, API test. I'm also building an API upload tool. I didn't get to that this week. Maybe I started it. It was a long week, and I got a lot done. But I've been working on a new schedule now. I get up like at 3 or 3:30, and work till about 7. Grab a quick nap, and then quick is usually 5 to 7 minutes. And then I come back at it and work up till noon or so, 11:30, somewhere there, get lunch. Then I take another nap after that, another 15-minute nap, 5, 10, 15 minutes, somewhere there. And then I'll work till 3 or 4, and then I'm done. But it's having that extra time in the morning when there's nobody around, it's great. I get so much done. Our blur tool, we're building some tools, and I also built an agent to agent, so that was another one. Ryan sent me a video on the new search stuff. There we go. Oh, hey, that's FFmpeg. Oh, my bad. That's the new search stuff. Yeah, there we go. And instead of SEO, Google is shifting to have AI agents send out to talk to other AI agents, and they communicate with each other saying, hey, do you have anything that does this? And the one on your site would say, yeah, let me go get you what we got. And it would send back, like, here's the appropriate tools or, pages we have that are relating to what you're looking for and stuff. So I spent some time on that. Again, I didn't finish that one. I've been a lot of stuff in the hopper this week. Didn't get to actually finish too many things, but I made really good progress in a lot of them to understand, fleshing them out to make sure they would work. Our Explorer, we did share this tool. I should be able to launch it from here. It's on the other screen. There we go. Wow, and for some reason it's enormous. That's what she said. So this one, I didn't add the context menu yet. There's a basic context menu. We have the core stuff here, but I want to add it where you can build your own plugins. Here also, this is where I have length. Like, I'm going to add my length tool to this one, so it very quickly gets the lengths of any sort of a media file or most media files. And but this Explorer tool is crazy fast, and it's so much faster than the built-in Windows Explorer. So and you have a dark or a light theme in the settings somewhere you can change it. I think it's preferences here. There's preferences, you can change the font size and dark theme. It's not, the thing is, Windows Explorer, they added 8 billion options in the world. It's one of the reasons why it's so slow, right? I built this with just the core things of what I want to do, and it's far better now. It's faster. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but 90% of the time you don't need those, right? So that was my goal, is to build something simple and fast, and if I need something more advanced, then I'll switch to clunky Explorer. My XP search tool, my plan is to tie this one with the other tool. I did make an update to this one. So let's say I look for, I don't know, let's look for mouse on the S drive. Anything with mouse, we'll end it in AHK. So here is mouse, and before I could filter, hey, let's look for for scripts that have the word bring in them. It'll filter on them, but I couldn't say, I want bring or control. So now I can say bring and then put in a pipe and say control. Now it's an or, so I can do multiple. I could put up another pipe or I don't know, window, right? So I can do ors, and these are the includes. They have these, or we exclude them, and this is where these are even more powerful. It's like I don't want mouse, which, oh wait, I'm searching on mouse. Yeah, duh. I don't want control. I don't want bring. I don't want num. So you can look at those things disappearing as I type. I don't want tool. So it's excluding it, and I think I can have both. They include spot, yeah. So I can use it to really filter down what I'm looking for. And then I do have an OK context menu here, and you can also filter by type. So looking for video or audio files. This, by the way, I called it XP file search because this, I mirrored the older Windows XP Explorer's file search, which was so great. It was so easy to use, right? So this tool, crazy fast. I did talk to AI about if Rust could make this tool any faster. Was I saying then it would be about the same speed? But one thing it did mention was if I rebuilt it and looked for something with the table of content, it's not TOC, but something close to that. It was the page index of the hard drive. That's how Anywhere works. Is it reads that, and it's crazy fast because it's but it only works on NTFS drives. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to go back. I like this tool overall already anyway. I'm not going to go. Oh crap! I'm not going to do that. And I just closed my program. Let's see here. Bunch more examples. So prompt assistant. Boy, I'm surprised that says it's updated. I didn't necessarily do anything that the last week. I didn't think I did. DB share where the taskbar, I released that. That's this on the side here. So regardless of the type of, if you have AutoHotkey installed, you can now have this on the side and have a lot more control of what you want. I still have to make a custom video on it because it's quite powerful. There's so many options. Add to startup. Yeah. It's been a long week and a long day, so I'm not going to go through each one of these. But the main point is right now we are building really, really cool tools. With almost like any language you want. And it's crazy powerful with AI to be able to have your goals and then not only build a tool very quickly and easily, but build it in a fast, robust language, right? So if you're looking for anything like that, or you want to incorporate AI into your tools, reach out to me. We're here to help. Have a great day. Cheers.